program contains scenes of violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the RWT Podcast. Hello, everybody. I am your host of the RWT Podcast, Emir Costello. And man, I am ready to get this party started. You're in way over your head, man. It has been a crazy week. Wow. One of the greatest things that happens to me every day is I wake up and I get to go onto a wrestling page where everybody is active and having a good time. So I definitely appreciate that. And speaking of the page, man, there is an all-star who I think has been posting a whole bunch of good stuff lately, and I really appreciate the guy, so I want to give him a shout out. And that is Mr. Bobby Mackey. All right, man, I like that guy. So he posted a story earlier in the week that kind of had me thinking about a lot of stuff that I guess I just didn't really know about, which is weird because I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking wrestling guru, man. But, turns out I'm not. There's a story he posted called 20 Wrestlers Who Stole Their Finishers from Other Wrestlers. And I'm going to be honest, I knew like most of the list, like 99% of the list, but there were some things that surprised me. Like, did anybody know that Stone Cold Steve Austin did not originate the Stone Cold Stunner? Apparently that was a move that he stole from Mikey Whipwreck in ECFNW, which is, it's hilarious if you think about it, because here's the thing about the Stone Cold Stunner. It is an iconic move. And the move didn't make the man made the move, I think. But in all reality, if you saw a clip today, I don't care how old it was, if you saw a clip from 1990 or something like that, with Mikey Whipwreck doing that stunner, you would go, look at Mikey Whipwreck doing the Stone Cold Stunner. What a fucking biter. Why is he jocking Stone Cold? Nobody would sit up there and go like, oh, I don't even know what he called it, by the way. I don't even know what it was called when it was his move. And when Stone Cold started doing the stunner, I mean, unless you were like a hardcore ECW fan, I don't remember hearing one person like, look at Stone Cold trying to be Mikey Whipwreck. Because it's one of those unfortunate things where it's like, Stone Cold didn't originate it, but because he got way more over with the fans than Mikey Whipwreck ever did, everybody kind of thinks it's his move. Kind of like Bret the Hitman Hart, who actually stole the sharpshooter from Sting. Alright? Sting was doing the move first, and it was called the Scorpion Deathlock. Well, apparently, somebody came into the locker room one day and said, hey, Bret, can you do that Scorpion Deathlock? And Bret didn't know how to do it, but they thought it'd be a good finisher for him, and so somebody taught him how to do it, and then they called it the sharpshooter. And all these years, I've never really thought about, like, why would they call Bret's move the sharpshooter? Well, here's the deal. It has to do with the fact that his name is Bret the Hitman Hart. That whole moniker of actually being a hitman, like somebody who goes around and kills people for money. And if you're a hitman, you have to be able to shoot people from a distance. You have to be a sharp shooter. So that's why they named his finish move the sharpshooter. All these years when I would see Sting, I'd be like, Sting, can't believe that guy stole the sharpshooter from Bret Hart. Well, turns out I'm a fucking idiot, because apparently Bret Hart stole his finisher. And there was one more, and this one was probably the most surprising. So there's two nature boys in the history of wrestling. Alright, there is the nature boy Ric Flair, and then there's the original nature boy, which, what was his name, Buddy Rogers? I don't know, fact check that, but I think it's the nature boy Buddy Rogers. Anywho, turns out that when Ric Flair started wrestling originally, he was like a brawler, he wasn't technical at all, but then he got into this plane crash and he broke his back in like 9 places. And so he survived the plane crash, obviously, but he had to change the style of wrestling that he did because he wrestled hurt from that point on. So he had to go to a more technical style because it was easier to do than the brawling style. And he was already calling himself the Nature Boy, which is a name that he stole from Buddy Rogers. Again, check those facts. But apparently he then stole Buddy Rogers' entire gimmick, like all of his moves, the figure 4 leg lock, which was invented by Buddy Rogers. He's like, I'm just going to be Buddy Rogers. This is like the equivalent of if somebody just decided, I'm going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they shaved their head, they put on the vest and the knee braces, the infamous knee braces, because Austin had the worst knees in the business, and they started coming down to an entrance theme that sounded like Stone Cold's and hitting stunners and flipping people off and drinking beer, and didn't try to change the gimmick at all. So wow, it was so funny because like Ric Flair is like he's like the greatest wrestler of all time. He is the GOAT. You understand what I'm saying? Yet he stole his entire gimmick, and nobody ever mentions that. And then when I read that, I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. Anywho, we got a good show planned for you today. Today we got the leader of Dirty Suicide, Joe Gonzalez, coming on the show. And man, hopefully he's got some great stories. I've known this man a long time. Interestingly enough, we just had his brother Tony on last week, and we had some stories that we mentioned that had to do with Joe and some dirty shots, and that whole thing will be explained. But he's going to come on the show today, and also we're going to be introducing a brand new segment that is called Who Wrote That Tweet? All right, so I'll explain the rules of that game a little bit later, but coming up after the break, I will have for you Joe Gonzalez.
The original light beer, brewed to be everything you want in a beer and less. Miller Lite, hold true.
Yeah, man, welcome back to the RWT podcast. And as promised, I have my guest on the line, Mr. Joe Gonzalez. How are you doing this evening?
Good. How you doing yourself? Good to hear from you again, man.
You too, man. I'm actually super tired. I've had a long day, but you know what? I was like, at the end of the day, I get to come home and I get to do this podcast, which I enjoy doing. I get to talk to my old buddy Joe, so it was all worth it, man. But you've just informed me that not only are you my special guest, but you actually have another special guest sitting next to you. And can you please introduce her?
Introduce yourself, lady.
This is Llesica Ruiz-Gonzalez.
That's my wife. We're the it couple on the Raw Talk group.
You know, it's such a pleasure, man, to have you guys on the show. Because, okay, first of all, so, Llesica, you've been adding like a million people to the page, and I've totally appreciated it. So thank you so much for your efforts to get the word out there and help build the brand.
Oh, you're welcome. Just trying to share the love for wrestling.
Yeah, so let me just ask you a question real quick, because it seems to me that you really seem to like those welcome pictures I've been doing. Like, what do you really think of those?
I think they're hilarious. I can't get enough of them.
Yeah, man. Sometimes, because I saw earlier that like Joe invited 2 more people to the page, and I was still out working, and I was like, how am I gonna make this? I'll figure it out later. But anyways,
Well, I was telling her originally, anytime you were adding anybody new, you kept putting a Bray Wyatt picture saying like "Welcome," and then when she started thinking she was gonna get a Bray Wyatt, she ended up getting somebody else. I'm like, oh crap, you just proved me wrong now, But originally, when you started it off, it was like I just seen a lot of Bray Wyatt ones, and then somebody get commenting after with the anti-Reigns.
yeah, it made sense at first to just like do this whole Bray Wyatt thing, because it's like, hey man, you're here, and it made perfect sense. But here's the thing, so that's who you saw was that guy Tony, and he's the biggest heel on the page, and there's nothing that guy can't complain about, and he hates Roman Reigns like with a passion, so he wants to just put out there from the beginning, if you're a Roman Reigns fan, just realize I'm coming after. So literally, this is how ridiculous it was. I never understood. I'm like, does this guy sleep at all? Because he lives in New York, okay? So we all understand there's a 3-hour difference between California and New York. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what time I put up a welcome picture. Literally 2 seconds later, that guy would put up the "If you're a Roman Reigns fan, run." And I'm like, is this guy just waiting by his phone? I don't know. And then the one time he didn't do it, I was like, man, this guy's taking a long time. Is he trapped in the bathroom somewhere? Did somebody kidnap him?
Finally fell asleep.
Yeah. But so here's the interesting thing. Now that I have started doing more than Bray Wyatt and trying to switch it up a little bit, he said I ruined his gimmick. And if you notice, on the welcome pictures, you don't see him commenting anymore.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, man.
It must have been Bray Wyatt or something. I don't know. The Bray Wyatt thing.
Yeah, that Bray Wyatt was cool, but I was like, I'm overusing him. I probably used 12 different pictures of him, and I'm like, I can I'm more talented than this. I could come up with something better.
That's true, man.
So Jessica, let me understand something. Were you always
Yeah.
were you always a wrestling fan, or did Dirty Joe over there turn you into a wrestling fan?
Technically, I used to be into wrestling back in middle school. I was really into it because all the guys would just talk about it in class. And then I was like, I want to be one of the cool girls and be on to the conversation, see what it's all about. So then I got into it, then eventually lost the passion for it. And then when I got with Joe, that's all they watched. So I was like, okay, I got to include myself again back in the conversation with a pile of group of guys. Like, that's all they talk about. So it came back in my life.
Okay, now I'm just guessing here. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be correct. But again, I'm just guessing. Did you stop watching wrestling when The Rock left?
No.
That's normally everybody's story. Everybody's like, yeah, I watched wrestling, and then The Rock left, so I left.
No. I was into it when the Attitude Era was around, and then eventually I just slowly stopped watching it. And I mean, The Rock was still in there, but I guess I just didn't feel the passion for it as much.
I guess we just had grown-up things to do, and we come back for a little bit. But grown-up life sucks, so we got back into it.
Yeah. Okay. So Joe. So okay, you're married to a wrestling fan. You know how like girls do that thing where they're like, you know, 'cause when I was talking to Tony, he mentioned his fiance. Are they married yet? Him and his woman? No. Well, he mentioned his woman's kind of saying to him like, "Hey, you're gonna choose wrestling over me," and blah blah blah, and so I think women do that where they feel like this guy's spending so much time playing video games or watching wrestling or whatever, and he should be giving me attention. But you have the perfect situation because your wife, your amazing wife, actually likes wrestling. So how does it feel, man, to be able to like, I'm watching wrestling with my best friend. Like, what's that like, Joe?
Really?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So I asked you what it was like to be able to say you were watching wrestling with your best friend, and then I accidentally stopped recording. You gave this beautiful answer, and I didn't catch any of it. So I'm just gonna rewind myself and ask that again. Joe, your wife is amazing. Please tell me again what it's like to be able to watch wrestling with your best friend.
Watching wrestling with my best friend is friggin' perfect. It's like, I mean, it's so great that my days off actually land off on a Monday and a Tuesday, so I don't have to, choose to go take my wife out on a date and miss Raw or SmackDown because we can actually have date nights inside watching Raw and SmackDown. If we want a date night, we just go get some wings, some hot wings, pizzas, whatever it is, bring it to the house, open a bottle of wine so we're still having the romantic moment and still catching wrestling at the same time. It's just perfect. There's no interruptions, no jerks outside or no waiters trying to hurry us out anywhere. We're just doing our thing here. Also, Valentine's Day, 2 years ago, I believe, my wife surprised me with tickets to a WWE live event in Bakersfield somewhere. I didn't even know they were in the area, but how awesome is it to spend Valentine's Day with the woman you love and enjoying wrestling at the same time? We were on ground seats. We were at floor seats, the closest I've been at the moment, and she's just been very awesome, so she surprises me with wrestling gifts, and I can do the same with her, so it's never really like, oh man, her birthday's coming up, what do I get her? Remember, wrestlers come with new t-shirts every other month, so she's going to want something from on the network or something, so it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic, man. Okay, so I mentioned before, when I got married, my wife was not a wrestling fan, and surprisingly, she got into it because you know how marriage is. It's like you do shit you don't want to do because, it's important to you. Okay, for instance, I watch Teen Mom. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Every time Teen Mom comes on, I could fucking kill myself, man. But but my wife loves to watch it, and she watches wrestling with me, and so then I have to watch Teen Mom and Love and Hip Hop and watch all these black people act really crazy, but somehow they all have a bunch of money, but that's what you do. So it's really cool. Like my wife actually has more wrestling shirts than me, and yeah, we went to Payback together a few weeks ago. We went to the live event in Long Beach, and it's nice to have her right there because it's like one of those things where it's like she doesn't ever complain about the pay-per-views or how much I watch the network because she's into it too. But here's another question I got for you. Okay, so I remember you joined the page, and then I remember a little while after, I think you commented something about your wife, and I kind of said, hey, if she's not a part of the page, she's not going to be able to see it because it's a closed group. And so then you added her. And then I thought, is this guy wearing, because wrestling fans can be really rude sometimes. And I was thinking, like, what's going to happen if she's engaging in conversation with somebody and somebody steps out of line? Like, were you worried that somebody might try to get a little bit overzealous and you might have to step in there?
Never that. I'm a smart ass on the group, so anybody steps up, I just jump back. I don't viciously attack, but I do get smart. I do it against my own brother, Tony, as well. He just commented about CM Punk today, and I still threw it back at him. But I'm never worried about anything. I have no trust issues. I don't get overjealous or anything at all. I mean, if people step out of line, I just ignore it. Words are words. That's what a chat room is. I don't do the whole anti-bullying. I don't do the online bullying. It doesn't bother me. I just know I didn't add her right away. I kind of wanted to get the feel of the group first and see how it went. If it was like constant, updates, or I've been in other groups where I join and then you only hear from them like once every other 3 months or so. So it was kind of like a waste. But this one was kind of, I tested it out and it was pretty active. And I told my wife, like, you know what, you should join this. And she's one that doesn't want to join really. She doesn't know anyone personally. And also, wants to get the feedback. So I took them upon myself to try it out for, I think a few weeks or a month or so without her. And then that's why I finally just, told her, what, this is pretty cool. I got my brother now here, Emir's a cool buddy of mine as well. And we got other active people that I don't even know, but they're funny as hell. Or they give you good links that we don't get on the actual TV shows. We get the behind-the-scene links and all these type of things. So I convinced her to check it out and finally added her. And she's digging it.
Yeah, man, I thought that was really cool. So there was a development that just recently came down on the page, and I kind of have to ask you about it, Llesica. Smitty, or as we know him on the page, is Phoenix Jericho, is kind of making an accusation that you are into eating. And okay, here's the thing about it. So he accused you of like not really being in the wrestling, you're eating, and then you didn't really refute that. You kind of, but you didn't flat out say he's wrong. Are you an ice skating enthusiast, or what's going on?
No, not at all. I was waiting for him to throw something back at me so I can come back with a comeback, but he never did.
Hey, I'm surprised. That guy can talk a lot of shit. So it was kind of like the last two comments you put up with the what pictures. And he was like, I'm not getting into this. And so I'm right there, it's a cliffhanger for me because I'm like, man, I was wondering where this was going. What's the deal with the ice skate? So you don't watch ice skating at all?
No, I don't.
So just a completely baseless accusation out of nowhere.
Yep, it's just Smitty being Smitty.
He was high.
I'm still waiting on that challenge back, so.
We'll see. So who's your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestler, I actually have a few.
Who are they?
Between Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt. Try to think here. Actually into that underdog Sami Zayn, but not a lot of people like him. Like my husband over here. Mm-hmm. He's a hater.
Okay, I love Sami Zayn. We'll get back to Sami Zayn in a minute, but I just have to ask this question. And maybe Joe knows this is coming, but did you just marry Joe because he looks exactly like Seth Rollins?
No, because he sure didn't look like Seth Rollins like a few years back.
I just remember, like, I looked at Seth when Seth Rollins like came out, like into he was like into the on Raw and stuff, and I was like, this guy looks familiar. I feel like I've partied with this guy, or maybe he is Joe Gonzalez. I could.
Marry me because I am the man.
Yeah. Your brother too. Okay, remember back in the day, and his hair is getting there again. But back in the day, Tony looked a lot like CM Punk before he cut his hair.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You guys just got some famous faces. By the way, the only person I ever get accused of looking like is CeeLo Green, which is terrible. Every time.
His music's good though. I take it as a compliment.
His music is good, man, but he's got short arms and his teeth are weird, and I'm like, come on, my arms are longer than that. Come on now, you guys are. What about you,
Real
Joe?
quick,
Joe,
ask
who's
you
your...
a question?
Yo, yeah, what's up?
I'm gonna ask you a question so we don't steal your spotlight. I don't want your guest stealing all the spotlight. I want to ask you a question for the group to understand newcomers and all. You started this page, correct?
That is correct.
So what influenced you to start this, and how did you start it?
Okay, this is so funny.
That you were talking with, and said, let's do this together, or did you just do this all on your own? Let us hear about you.
I did it all on my own, but there was a specific purpose for it. Okay, even the name, I'll admit. Maybe I was being a little petty, I don't know. But I was a part of this other page that was called FTW, Fans Talking Wrestling, okay? This page literally has like 40,000 people that are a part of it. I mean, they have amassed quite a following. And so I stumbled onto the page, and I started, being active in the page. I wasn't an admin or anything like that. I was just another guy on the page amongst the 40,000, sheep or whatever. And then I thought, you know what? I've been wanting to do a wrestling podcast, and what's really cool about being a part of a page that has 40,000 people on it, you don't have to build an audience. They're right there, man. Fucking 40,000 people. Just think about when you were a fucking rock star in Dirty Suicide. What if you could have played a show in front of 40,000 people?
That'd be friggin' awesome, man.
Right. So I was like, this is perfect. So I reached out to one of the admins. Her name was Michelle Clark, I believe. I said, hey, I'm interested in doing a podcast for the page. What do you think? And she totally gave me her blessing. She's like, yeah, you can do it. It's, I think that'd be great. That'd be great for the page. I think it'd be awesome. So I was like, wow, cool. So I kind of like did the FTW podcast. I only did one though, because things fell apart very quickly. And so I wasn't very good at it, because it was like my first try, and I didn't, it was really kind of awkward. Because just like some of the guests that I've had on this show, everybody's like, oh, I was kind of nervous to talk to you because, I don't know, people just worry about how they're going to sound and if other people will think it's lame. But I just learned not to give a fuck what anybody thought. But, okay, so I did the podcast, and I put the episode up, and immediately all of the most popular people on the page began to talk shit about the podcast. And they, just like 2 or 3 guys, that they were like, this podcast sucks. Nobody should listen to it. Don't waste your time. And so, that hurt my pride. I'm like, oh, wow, what a terrible reaction. So I said to them, hey, you 3 guys who are saying how much I suck, could any one of you kind of tell me where I went wrong or give me some advice? Like, what would you have rather heard? And literally, guys, they all 3 had the same reaction. Oh, we didn't actually listen to it. We just said it sucked because we just thought we would say that. Now, the problem I have with this is, there were other people on the page who were like, oh, I was going to listen to this, but thank God you warned me that it sucks. Now I won't waste my time. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like, why are you, I'm trying to do something here. This is for free just because I think it's great. This could turn into something, and then you guys are tearing it down. And then it got worse from there. Like the admins, they were very like, okay, you know how on our page, the same story might get shared 3 or 4 different times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, what they were doing on their page is, if the story appeared more than once, any other person who shared it, they would delete the story off the timeline. And they started turning off, I didn't even know you could do this, but they started turning off people's comments. Like, I would put up a post, and then there would be, let's say, 10 people commenting on it. And all of a sudden, I would go to reply to somebody's comment, and it would say, comments have been turned off by the admin. And I'm like, wait, what? Your page is called Fans Talking Wrestling. You got some fans here. We're talking, obviously, about wrestling. Why would you go, well, that's enough conversation on this topic, and then shut it off? So,
I want to say I was on the same exact group as well, and they were deleting all my comments. And because, like I said, I am a smartass, so when someone, talks some business, I commented back, and they would always delete my comments. That's why I left that group. Just like how I mentioned previously, I tried them out before I get my wife into it, but yeah, I was in that one, and I ended up just getting out. They never kicked me out. I just quit. I left it because they were doing the same exact thing for me,
Yeah, I just don't get, like, why are you trying to be like a censor Nazi? Like, we're all grown-ups here. Do you know how irritating it is for me to be like, they just deleted all my comments, but why? Like, why? I didn't say anything wrong. I wasn't cursing at people. We were just fans talking wrestling, like the page is called. And so it was too much. It was too many like rules, and it was all this stuff. So like myself and Paul Morales and Teddy P. De Niro, which were people that I had invited to join that page, we all left the page. And I'm like, you know what? So I called Teddy up and I said, you know, Ted, man, this is ridiculous. But I'm just gonna create my own page, and I'm gonna do a podcast from my page, and I don't care if it's just me and 4 other guys, as long as I have a fun place to talk about wrestling. And
yeah,
so,
it's a good place to
yeah.
be yourself. And
So that's how RWT was born, man, and I'm so happy that you guys are a part of it. It means a lot to me.
yeah, and I'm glad I actually asked that question because, you know, we get to know more about you and your love and the passion for wrestling and communication. You know, I mean, it's like my wife always says, like, we attend wrestling events. The WWE Universe is there, like hundreds, thousands of people. But then we'll come back to Compton or Long Beach, and at our jobs, there's no damn wrestling fans around us. I know you worked with Tony, and you guys were wrestling fans, but like in her jobs, some of my jobs at our stores I've worked in, because I'm also in Walmart, we asked, are you guys into wrestling? But like, no. I'm like, dude, what the hell? You go to a restaurant, just ask random people, you into wrestling? You know, no, nobody. Any local area we're in, there's no wrestling fans. But when you're at an event, they're everywhere. I'm like, where the hell are you guys? Where are you guys hiding, you know? So this little group we have here is actually perfect for us because we can just talk wrestling, you know, like, it's just a good place we can just be ourselves when we want to let it out. We just let it out, have a good conversation. We watch Raw, we want to go talk to somebody about it, but there's no one around here, so we just go to the chat group and we just talk to it about it. So it's freaking awesome. So I do really appreciate that you created this, and, you know, it got stronger. You got more followers on it, so I think you're doing a really good job, and I want everybody to know that. You know, you're doing this for us. It's for everybody. You're not just doing this for yourself, deleting people's comments or whatnot. You're letting freedom of speech on here, so it's pretty cool. I really thank you for that.
Yeah, man, and thank you for acknowledging that. And I'll be honest, there have been some times where people have said certain things, and I've thought, I'm not really a fan of that. But then I just check myself and go, but you know what? People can say what they want, but I will say this. I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're being chastised or bullied or anything like that. So if somebody was ever just flat out being disrespectful to somebody else, I would just be like, hey man, take it easy, relax. But I want to ask you a question about live events. Like, when you go to a live event, how different is it being live than it is sitting at home watching?
One of the main things I've always noticed is I always have little kids looking at me with a mean dog look. I'm always booing their fan favorites over there, so I just love the energy there. I love the energy. It's like, I mean, watching it at home is cool because you can do anything you want. You know, you don't have to worry about your drinking limits or getting your ass kicked or falling down up the stairs. But being live is just, you feel it. You get to yell. You get to chant. You get to rub it in people's faces because whoever's sitting next to you is going for the other guy, and you're just like, in your face, you know? It's pretty cool. And but like I said, I mean, every event I've been to, I'm sitting next to a freaking kid who I end up having to boo his favorite wrestler, and he just starts looking at me with a mad dog look. I'm like, Jesus. Like, right now, Tony and Julio, they both think I hate kids because every freaking wrestling event I go to, I'm like talking crap to a little kid. So that's not the case. It's just, Jesus, like, he was dogging me out. What you want me to do?
Yeah.
I paid good money for him, too. I'm going to say what I want to say.
Yeah, it's always so irritating. Because kids always like the guys that if you ever see like John Cena come out, and it's like every grown man in the crowd is booing him to death, and then it's always the little kids that are like, let's go Cena, and we're like, come on, man, you guys don't even. Those are the same guys that liked Hulk Hogan, you know.
Event in San Diego, and where Rey Mysterio was there, that's his hometown.
Right.
And I booed the crap out of Rey Mysterio. I did not like that guy, and then all these little kids just look up at me, just like cursing me out. I'm like, what? It's like, I don't care if it's his hometown. I ain't from here.
Speaking of hometowns, when I was at Payback and Bailey dropped the title to Alexa Bliss, oh my God, that crowd, they wanted blood, man. And here's another thing about live events, and Llesica, maybe you can relate, but like, did you find it strange to be live at an event and then realize, holy shit, there's no commentary?
Let me ask you a quick question. Who were you going for in that match?
I don't know. I wasn't really going for anybody I'm not a huge Alexa Bliss fan. I was tired of seeing the belt on Bailey. I was kind of over this whole underdog story, but I told my wife, I said, look, I said, listen, historically, the hometown hero gets fucked over every time they're in their hometown, so she's gonna lose the match, and that's exactly what happened. So it was a little bit difficult for me to pick a side because I kind of felt like I knew where it was all going, and unsurprisingly, it went there. You know.
Right. I was just wondering if you were part of the one that wanted blood or not.
Nah, but I thought everybody else was hilarious because it's like we're from Long Beach, so everybody else is they're there from San Jose. I don't give a crap about San Jose. No offense to those guys.
Yeah.
So what are you guys hoping for? Like, we talk about Monday Night Raw. Braun Strowman has just been announced that he had surgery and he's actually going to be out for 6 months now. Brock Lesnar is nowhere in sight with that Universal title. Like, what do you guys want to see from Raw?
Well, I'm gonna go ladies first. All right, I go first. Doesn't matter. I really just want to see. I'll just tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see Roman Reigns. Like, I do not want to see Roman Reigns. I'll tell you that much. I don't really care who else goes after Lesnar. I wouldn't mind seeing Seth Rollins after Lesnar again. I love Bray Wyatt, but I don't think he can really keep up with Lesnar. The only other person right now on Raw that I think that could be a good match for Lesnar would be Samoa Joe. So if anything, I would like to see Samoa Joe against Brock Lesnar.
Samoa Joe against Brock Lesnar. It sounds like a great match. It sounds very intriguing. It's not going to happen because we got two massive heels and they're just not going to do that. But I think if somewhere down the line, if one of them turns face, you might see that. You might get your wish after all, Joe. And what about you, Llesica? What do you want to see happen on Monday Night Raw?
Well, technically, like Joe was saying, with the belt that's on Lesnar right now, it's like it kind of sucks that he doesn't come out and have a match with anybody who's holding the title. But loving Bray Wyatt, I know he might not have a chance with it, but I'd really love to see him with the belt and to keep the belt.
Yeah, his last title run wasn't the greatest.
It was very short.
We were glad he got the title, but he didn't last long, and he didn't really defend it as much as we thought he would. And what we just really don't like what's going on is, like, Bray has a lot of talent, but when he wins a match, it's usually due to interference, but we want to see him do it on his own, you know? And I just feel like WWE is lagging on letting him, like, shine. They're just making him rely on other people, which doesn't make him look too good. But he got everything. He got wrestling skills. He got some mic skills, but they're not letting it happen.
Yeah, here's the thing about Bray Wyatt. He is the total package. I mean, he doesn't have a great body, but that's not a premise anymore. That's not a requirement. Kevin Owens held the belt for forever, and he doesn't have a great body. So it's like Bray Wyatt, he can move in that ring, and he is one of the best, if not the best, on the mic today. And, he cuts strong promos, and he's got a great moveset. There's no reason why that guy shouldn't have a lengthy run with the title. I don't understand. I have no clue what's going on with that, but hopefully at some point they'll start to believe in him, or they'll give him another shot, because right now they haven't done him any justice. And then speaking of what you said about the fact that they always have other people helping him, I found out recently that some of those other people were not happy to help at all. And I'm talking about Luke Harper, who commented he actually hated being in the Wyatt family, which I didn't initially know, but his whole deal was like, he feels like he's spending all his time making somebody else's career better, and it's not it's not helping him any. So he was happy to get out of the Wyatt family, but now that he's out, they don't even use him.
Yeah, I mean, and he's actually looking better than ever right now. I think he recently just fought on SmackDown, I believe. But he's in like his greatest shape ever. He doesn't look fat anymore. His arms are like thin, but with muscles. He's jumping over ropes now. He's doing drop kicks still. Like, impressive things for a guy his height and his size. I mean, that guy has talent. The only thing I am happy when he was in the Wyatts, he actually held the title before Bray ever did. He did hold the Intercontinental title. I was like, that's pretty cool. But I mean, at that point in time, I wanted Bray to get a belt. But it was still impressive that Luke Harper got his chance to get a title before Bray Wyatt ever got anything.
Yeah, and here's one more highlight that you forgot to mention. He finally changed his shirt.
I noticed. I think his pants as well. I think he's wearing like skinnier jeans. I mean, they're not skinny jeans, but they're not as baggy as they used to be as well.
Yeah, they look like they might be like some blue, Dickies or something like that. But it was like when he changed his shirt, I was like, holy shit, I didn't know he could do that. So I thought that was, I was like, man,
Oh.
you know it's weird if you look. I put up a picture of Luke Harper from when he was really really young in wrestling, and I'm not even joking. He was still wearing the same wife beater. It was ridiculous.
They stay in the same spot and everything.
Yeah, man. Hey, you guys want to play a game?
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Let me get this music queued up for the game real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I read some tweets that I have vetted, and you can guess which wrestler said it. Just talk to me. Just talk to me. Yeah, you'll hear the tweet and you'll guess who. I'll help you out, give you some clues. Just talk to me. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Talk to me, just talk to me. Talk to me, just talk to me.
Who wrote that tweet? All right, guys. This is a game that I've created. I actually kind of ripped this game off of another. There's a podcast I listen to, the Adam Carolla Show, and he has a similar bit that he does, and so I kind of ripped it off of there. But you know what? I really don't give a fuck. I think this is gonna be a fun game. So this game is called Who Wrote That Tweet? Okay, and how we play is I'm gonna read you a tweet. I'm not gonna tell you who it is that wrote it, and then I'm gonna give you 3 options, and you guys have to guess who wrote that tweet. All right?
Okay.
So hold on, is it me versus her right now, or is this a one team type of thing?
Okay, listen. I want you versus her. But if you guys happen to think it's the same person, that's okay. But hopefully at some point you guys will have 2 different guesses as well.
It's on.
All right, wait, hang on. So let's put a wager on this. How about wait, who does the dishes in your house?
We both do.
Yeah, we kind of take turns. If it's my day off, I'll do them on my day off. On her day off, she'll do them. Or it depends who cooked. If I cook like today, she'll do the dishes. So technically, she's doing the dishes today. But I guess if I lose, I'll do it.
All right. You hear that, Llesica? If you can beat this guy, not only did he cook for you, but he's gonna have to do. He's doing them dishes too, all right?
Right.
All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, I'm gonna read the first tweet, and then I'll tell you what the options are. Okay, and then Joe will have you give a guess first, and then Llesica will have you give a guess, and then a guess, and then I'll reveal the correct answer. Okay. All right. Here's the first tweet. Just played some Call of Duty multiplayer. It upsets me at what I hear through the headset from the other players. It's all they know. Hashtag, get a job, man. Now, who said this? Was this Xavier Woods? Was this Randy Orton? Or was this Seth freaking Rollins?
And I go first, right?
No, I'm going first. I said Seth freaking Rollins.
All right, Joe says that it was Seth Rollins talking about the Call of Duty. And Llesica, who do you think was talking about Call of Duty?
I'd say Xavier Woods.
Llesica says Xavier Woods. And wouldn't you know, Joe? You guys are both wrong. That was Randy Orton.
No way!
I knew it wasn't Xavier Woods because Xavier Woods does not complain about gamers. I know he plays, but he wouldn't complain. But I've seen Seth Rollins play with Xavier, so I figured he would have done it. I've never seen Randy Orton play a video game.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm not going to remember these fucking tweets, so I screenshot it. I'm telling you, this is Randy Orton's tweet, verified. You guys are both wrong, and so far, I don't know who's doing these damn dishes when the show is done. All right, man. Hopefully when people are listening to this, they're playing at home, all right? Here's the next tweet here for you. The tweet goes like this. I'm building a desk for my office. It's taken me a week. And what work am I even going to do in this office? Who wrote that tweet? Was it Daniel Bryan? Was it Shawn Michaels? Or was it Zack Ryder? What do you think, Joe?
Damn, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Zack Ryder.
Hey, Joe's going with Zack Ryder, which that could be a good choice because, well, here's the thing. Zack Ryder is at home right now. He's injured though, so I don't know what he would be doing building anything. And then you got Shawn Michaels, he's retired, and Daniel Bryan, all he does is general manage. So any of these guys could potentially be trying to build their office at home. So Jessica, who do you think wrote that tweet?
I would say Daniel Bryan, just because he's out on the baby break, and he seems like a handyman.
Daniel Bryan does seem like a handyman, but it's only because he has a beard and he wears plaid shirts.
He's not a man's man. No way.
You might be surprised to know, Jessica, that that tweet was written by Zack Ryder.
No!
Yeah, someone's doing dishes tonight.
Uh-oh. We only got a couple questions left, and so far Joe has got the lead, man.
Yeah, I figured like a party guy wouldn't want to be building something, so he would be the only one to question himself.
All right, man. Yeah, when I read that, I was like, Zach, because I'm going through their tweets and I'm trying to find something with some damn substance to it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy even doing? He's gonna re-injure himself. All right, here's the next tweet. It says, "Today, I will do what others aren't willing to do, so tomorrow I can do what others can't. Everyone wants to eat, but few are willing to hunt." Who wrote that tweet? Was it Braun Strowman? Was it Stone Cold Steve Austin? Or was it the Beast Incarnate Brock Lesnar?
I am going with Braun Strowman.
And how about you, Jessica? Who do you think wrote that tweet?
I agree with Joe. I say Braun Strowman.
Okay, so I think it's kind of interesting that you guys chose Braun Strowman because it's like, you guys know Stone Cold actually hunts, right?
Yeah.
Even Brock Lesnar, that guy lives out in Minnesota, out in the woods, away from everybody else. So I'm just kind of surprised you guys didn't choose either one of those guys.
I've just seen a video recently somebody's uploaded with Braun Strowman's personal videos, and he was out in the woods too, so I just assumed. And then his promo on his workout, he was chopping trees and stuff, or lifting trees.
Oh yeah, he's kind of a lumberjack, so it makes sense that Braun Strowman wrote that tweet. Congratulations, both you guys got it, man.
Great minds think alike for once.
So you still got a 1-point lead then, Joe.
So I won, right?
No.
Bam, right?
It's not over. We got two more. We got two more tweets left to go over, so she could still come back. It's not over. Okay, here you go. Here's one. That weird memory thing I do, where I remember every detail about people and everything about them, but yet I can't remember where I left my effing phone. Who wrote that tweet? Was it RVD? Was it Chris Jericho? Or was it The Rock?
I'm going to go with Rob Van Dam.
You're going with RVD, who is the whole effing show. What about you, Jessica? Who do you think wrote that tweet?
I would say The Rock. Seems like a superstar would always be forgetting his phone everywhere, but not everybody else.
Okay, so here's the thing. So, my thought process is, what gives this away? When somebody says, I can't remember where I left my effing phone. So it's kind of...
Rob Van Dam's always high.
Yeah, he's high. And not only... And he's the whole effing show, so it just makes sense. It's like, that's where I went. I'm like, this guy is high. Of course he can't remember where he left his phone, right? But you know, when it comes down to it, Joe, you ever heard the phrase that the woman is always right? Because the Rock wrote that tweet, man. You got it wrong, and she got it right.
Even if I knew it was The Rock, I wouldn't have chosen my head.
All right, we got one more left. This right here, man. This could be the tiebreaker unless you guys choose the same person. But if you guys choose different people, this just might decide who's doing them dishes tonight. All right. Here's the tweet. Ignorant people are only relevant when people make them so. Ignore them, and they will remain ignorant as well as irrelevant. Who wrote that tweet? Was it Sami Zayn? Was it Kevin Owens? Or was it Dean Ambrose?
That's a toughie. I'm going to go with Kevin Owens.
And what about you, Llesica? Who do you think wrote that tweet?
I was going to pick Kevin Owens.
You still can. You're still doing the dishes.
I say KO.
So both of you guys think it was... So why do you guys think it was Kevin Owens?
Yeah.
Just his attitude says it all.
Yeah, you
It's
know...
not something Sammy would say, but I think KO's a trash talker.
Here's the thing about Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is a really like quirky, weird guy, and he's. Then you got Dean Ambrose, who really seems like he tries to stay positive. So if he said this, I would totally get that he's like, hey, let's not shed light on ignorant people because that's a negative thing. Let's just all stay positive. Then you got Kevin Owens, who's always talking shit to somebody, man. To the fans, he doesn't care if you're 5 years old. He's going to talk shit to you. And in this instance, this was Kevin Owens talking shit. Kevin Owens wrote that tweet.
Yeah. That's my boy.
So
it's
a tie. It's a tie. And I don't know. I really didn't anticipate there being a tie. So I don't even have a way to come up with a tiebreaker, really.
No, don't worry for no tiebreakers. The original plan was she was doing the dishes, so she's doing the dishes.
Yeah, right. Now we're doing them half and half.
Yeah, it's, one person's got to wash, and the other person's got to rinse, man. That's how we used to do it.
Hey, that's a really great game, though, man. You guys gotta keep it up. You gotta keep it up.
Yeah, I definitely will, man. Thank you guys so much for playing. So before I let you guys go, man, I just gotta know. I just want to hear from each of you. And we'll start with you, Llesica. What is your all-time favorite moment in wrestling?
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think. There's so many, but it's hard to choose just one.
What's the first one that comes to your mind?
The first one that comes to mind is when we went to WrestleMania, what was it, 31? We went to WrestleMania 31 in San Francisco. And we caught the match where Seth Rollins won the title. I think that stood out the most to me.
Man, so you were in the building when Seth Rollins came running down, cashed in that Money in the Bank, and walked out with the belt.
Yes, we were. It was amazing.
I wanted to be there, man. But, it's one of, and this is something that Tony alluded to when he did the podcast with me. It's like at a certain point, if you're just not there financially, you've got to make a decision. And to go to WrestleMania, if you're not in a great financial place, but you choose to do something that extravagant, that could really mess up your entire year. And so, I'm like, I'm going to have the best seat in the house right here on my couch. And man, I envy you guys for being there and seeing that live. That is fantastic. What about you, Joe, man? What's a moment that sticks out for you?
Right now, I remember going to our first WrestleMania. I was there with you guys, you and Tony as well, over there in Arizona. That was pretty awesome. That was my first WrestleMania moment with you guys. Was that yours as well?
It was my first, and it was my last. I haven't been back to WrestleMania, but here's the reason why. I'm not huge on flying, and I should have went to San Francisco when it was there. If it's somewhere I can drive to, I'll do it, but I'm trying to stay off of planes, brother.
That's all the same story goes here with my wife. I went to the one in Arizona with you guys. After that, I did not attend the following ones because they flew out, and I didn't want to, leave my lady behind, so I didn't go out with them either. But yeah, here in Santa Clara, San Francisco, wherever you guys want to call it, we made the drive. It was a long freaking drive, but this was her first WrestleMania, so I wanted to be a part of that and give her moment. I wish she could share it. But that first trip was like amazing. But this one, WrestleMania 31, was one of my greatest experiences live because it was outdoors. It was the outdoor arena as well, so everything just looked amazing. Just growing up as a kid, I would watch WrestleMania, with the out open air arenas, and it just always looked amazing to me. It's like special and stood out. So to actually finally attend an open arena felt really great. Get the breeze and everything. It was just amazing.
That's awesome, man. I'm definitely glad that you guys got to have that moment, and I appreciate you guys being the it couple on the RWT page, man.
That's right.
It's super. No, yeah, nobody's taking that crown. I don't think there's any other couples on the page. My wife is a part of the page, and she literally never looks at it. Like sometimes I come home and I'm excited. I'm like, babe, did you see that story I put up? And she's like, yeah, no, definitely didn't see it. I'm like, oh, okay. So, man, I appreciate you guys for what you have done as far as helping to build the group, and I appreciate you guys always participating. It means a lot to me, and thank you so much for coming on the show. We look forward to having you guys back, man.
Yeah, we gotta get that tiebreaker done.
Yeah, there's gonna be some. I'm gonna think of some more games and make this whole process, even more fun. And so hopefully by the time you guys make your second appearance, man, it'll be a ball. Maybe I can find a way to build a studio and we can do like a live in-person thing like you had suggested, Joe. That would be cool.
Right. Get a little visual.
By the way, at the beginning of the conversation, well, actually before we started recording, I mentioned, because you guys said you guys are watching Raw in the background and you're catching the late feed. Have you guys figured out yet? Somebody said that there was a major heel turn tonight, and I don't know who it was. Have you guys seen who turned heel yet?
Still not yet. We haven't gotten that far. We're watching it silently, but no major heel turn so far from what we're seeing.
All right, man. Well, I guess
we'll have to stay tuned.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm sure somebody will have put it on the page by the time I go look at it after this. I won't spoil it for you guys though, so you guys got to stay off the page until you finish watching.
Yeah, that's one thing I hate doing. Like, I mean, my wife gets off work late, so I'm here already at 5 o'clock. I'm waiting for her to show up so we can start watching. But I get alerts on my phone to go check our Raw chat group, and someone's putting spoilers. I'm like, damn it! So I wasn't supposed to see that yet.
Don't log in.
So I gotta avoid Instagram and Facebook till like 7 o'clock. Just start watching wrestling.
Yeah, man, that's how you have to do it. Because if you do it any way other than that, you're gonna find out things you didn't want to find out, and it's gonna suck. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for having us.
You do the same, man. It's been a pleasure talking to you again. We got to get together soon.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll talk to you soon, guys.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, bye.
Bye.
So there you have it, man. That was Joe and his wife, Llesica. It was such a pleasure to have them on the show. That's the first time I've ever had done a podcast with a couple. I think it went really well. Appreciate them participating. By the way, I really enjoy talking to you guys and doing the show with you guys who are part of the page. And we got some shows coming up with a few group members who have agreed to appear. If you are ever interested in appearing on the show, hit me up, man. Inbox me and we'll set something up. Because I know every wrestling fan has a story that other people should hear. A story that they want to tell. And I'm here to help you tell your story and try to keep everybody entertained, all right? So that's it for me, man. I'm gonna start heading on down the road. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on the RWT podcast.